Alright, here is, I'm going to try and keep this as brief as possible. Here's my pomni tutorial because her hat's driving me insane, and this is my attempt to figure it out. Kind of, sort of proportions. There's still kind of a lot that you need to just feel it out as you're going. This is not foolproof. But what I found is that basically, first of all, let's flip this to the side. I've got this already sketched out. The middle of her hat that line should come down between her eyes, like this. And then this here, these bits of the pom-poms should basically run like at the bottom of where her eyes are. This is going to be really messy, and I promise this still image is going to be better. But that should run along like that, under, like, hitting the bottom of her eyes, kind of like where the perspective line would be if you were just drawing her face. And I'm gonna switch to blue and move to a new layer for this. So this is the crazy thing I found, is that this line here on her hat, this was pretty consistent in every single one. I never found a time where this broke. It loops down and always lines up with her blush right down here. Every single time, without fail. It always lines up with her blush. Same on the other side, but I'm gonna not do it to save time. So there's that. And then this, I found you can generally cheese this line so it'll always come down to where her blush meets the end of her eye. And then from here, like, I just connect this there, and I connect these lines like that is generally how it goes. And so that's kind of like, that's like the main body of her hat, not the ending tail. And so to do the tail, we're going to switch to the next layer. Oh my god, I'm rushing, sorry. I found that for this is complicated. This one does not always work. It sometimes flubs. But I'm just going to trace this. This is kind of, to a degree, you're going to need to feel it out. Unfortunately. I'm going to add the other side here too. These lines are not my problem. It's this bottom line that I usually struggle with, and I found that going from where this red line meets the bottom of her head, if you bring it up and around like that, it generally works most of the time. And it's not foolproof, because again, you kind of need to feel this out. And it's generally, I'm actually going to lift this one up a little bit. It's generally going to hit somewhere near the bottom of her eye, or like this side spot. It's going to hit somewhere in here, this line. And that'll kind of give you like the curvature for where it's supposed to hit here. And I found that if you do it right, where this green line intersects like the first inner line of her hat, should always come to like the midpoint of her eyes, pretty much. Sometimes in really, really heavy perspective, this does not work. But for the most part, I found this to be pretty consistent, and it forms like, this triangle in the center of her face. And so if I turn off the image, that's what that looks like. And then, so that's like the structure of her hat that I was able to break down. And I have a sketch over here that we can repeat the same thing on. Okay. This is my second attempt. I tried to show this the first time and I messed it up. So this is the line cutting through the center of her face. It's going to extend up for the hat. It's going to be, I think, about here, roughly. Maybe bring it down a little bit because she's staring up at the camera. So like that, maybe. And then for where her bells are going to be, I'm just trying to guesstimate roughly where I think they would fall. That might be a bit far, but we're going to try. Here's like the line going under her eyes, and we're going to extend it out here and out here. And that's what we're going to work with. And we're going to switch to blue. And now her blush would be around this area. We're just going to draw it like that for now. Oh my god, my Apple Pencil's almost dead. Why is this happening to me? Anyway, we're going to bring this up and around like this. I've accidentally chosen a very pleasant blue. That's not the really dark one that I wanted, but it's okay. And I think my problem last time was I extended this too far, actually. It should curve quite a bit. So there's that. Maybe I'm doing too much, actually. Hold on. this is for me to help figure out her proportions, because that's really what I've been struggling with every single time I draw her, is I can't place her hat in space. And it's been driving me absolutely bonkers that I just can't figure out where her hat's supposed to be. So I'm just going to preemptively bring this down a little bit. And then this should come down and hit her eye, like that. And then this part's kind of just going to tuck back there because this is a front-facing perspective, so that bottom part of her hat's not going to be very visible. I can't talk. And here's this going down. This is our guesstimation of where the bell's going to be. And then to get the underneath part, we're going to scooch this up like crazy. And you're going to have to deal with me undoing a lot. And that's cutting pretty hard into her eye. Usually I'd avoid that, but I think for this it's okay. So then that's how that looks. That's like where that should be roughly. And then imagine if we were to do it on the other side, this should cut about halfway through her eye. And it does. So that's working. So if I was to go over that in black really quick, I'm just going to trace this. It's going to be super bad, super sloppy. Whoop. And I'm getting picky, and I should not be picky. Oh my god, just trace it. We got this. It's going to connect like right here. And then I'm going to bring this down there. That's where that line's going to end up. And then this one is going to, this blue line is actually going to extend past a bit and go like down there, I think? Yeah. Maybe that's a bit too far, but it's going to extend a bit and then come down to meet this. And then that's where her bell would kind of be. So once we turn off all of the guides, that's how that looks. And we're going to duplicate that and just swing it around to the other side, merge it, and then add that center line to match what's on her head. And boom! That's how her hat looks. That's how it would come out. And that is like way better than all of the hats I've been freehanding. So I kind of explained it really quick, and I'm kind of rushing because I don't know how long Twitter allows a video to be. So that is my explanation of how to draw Pomni's hat. Essentially, the main points are that, you know, these should line up with the curved line under her head. This blue construction, the biggest part is that this center line of her hat meets the blush, and then the second one meets where the blush hits her eye. And then for the tail, it's kind of bringing it around town, down to the bottom of her face, cutting a bit through the bottom of her eye, and it should, where it hits the inner ring of her hat, allow a center line to go through her eyes that matches the perspective. And once you have those things, you should be able to fully construct her hat. That is the hope. I hope this is helpful. I apologize if I went too fast. I think I went too fast. And also there is a brief like orange line down here. Oops. There's kind of an orange line like down here in the art I posted. That orange line isn't really important. It's meant to signify where her hat would be sitting on the back of her head if she was turned around. I kind of just did that for myself. It's not really needed for this. But yeah, so that's how that looks. And I'm going to make like a still image version of this. It's way better. But I hope that like watching somebody do it and following along might help the people where like text just doesn't work. So yeah, hopefully that helps.